One of the most celebrated and popular filmmakers of our time is Steven Spielberg, and for good reason. He has directed many a brilliant movie, whether it's a drama about an important period in history or rousing blockbuster entertainment. He can be both sentimental and thrilling. Every time a new Spielberg picture opens, I consider it an event, and I eagerly await each new film he directs. Putting together this top 10 list of favorite Steven Spielberg films was not easy, but at the moment, this is where they stand for me. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. The third entry in Spielberg and George Lucas's series of films about that rugged archaeologist, the decision to add a father-son dynamic was a smart one. The absentee father theme runs through a lot of Spielberg's work, but it's interwoven nicely into Last Crusade. A large part of the fun comes from seeing the interaction between Harrison Ford's Indy and Sean Connery's Henry Sr. It allows some fresh hijinks, but there's a strong emotional undercurrent in this film, while also showing two Joneses trying their best to mend their relationship. Unsurprisingly, the action is spectacular, including a chase through the canals of Venice and the Joneses escaping the Nazis' castle hideout. The opening prologue of a young Indy also represents a wonderful mini-movie of its own. This is a fantastic chapter in the Indiana Jones series, although it's not the only one on this list. Duel. This is not often counted as a Spielberg movie, due to initially airing as an ABC Movie of the Week. However, Universal executives were so impressed by Duel, it received a theatrical release overseas. That's a testament to how Spielberg already showed immense talent early on. The simplistic plot of Duel allows it to become that much more exciting. The movie taps into the paranoia of the time with this faceless truck driver who keeps following Dennis Weaver's commuter. The various stops and highway chases keep the plot moving with new circumstances arising. Although the most tense scene is not even on the road, but rather when Weaver stops at a diner and tries to figure out who is messing with him. The cinematography and the sound design are brilliantly handled, and Weaver himself gives an excellent performance in what is almost a one-man show. It would be a few more years before Spielberg became a major established name, but he certainly showed an incredible skill even when his work was only being viewed on television sets. Hook. This will probably be my most contested pick, as to this day it still has a bit of a mixed reaction. Not even Spielberg looks back fondly on his depiction of an adult Peter Pan. And yet, this is a film I've grown to appreciate more with age. Hook was made by Spielberg both trying to make his mark as a filmmaker of more serious fare, as well as entering parenthood for the first time. There is a ton of imagination in this movie, as Spielberg puts his own unique spin on Neverland, the Pirates, and the Lost Boys. Robin Williams makes for a believable Peter Pan who has forgotten his childhood, and Dustin Hoffman is a brilliantly conniving Captain Hook. And how can you not love Bob Hoskins as Smee? What really makes Hook special is the scene where Peter finally does remember his childhood, realizes why he ultimately wanted to grow up, and we get that wonderful scene of him flying over the clouds with John Williams' unforgettable music in the background. That moment defines the entire movie for me. This is a spirited and emotional adventure I keep coming back to, and an excellent addition to the Peter Pan mythos. The Adventures of Tintin. Another adaptation of a childhood favorite, Spielberg had been planning to adapt Hergé's classic comic books for decades, and then finally got the chance by using the latest in motion capture technology. This is a movie that never lets go, as he takes the Belgian reporter and the alcoholic Captain Haddock on a globe-trotting adventure. The mocap is used to tremendous effect, whether through bringing these creations to life or mounting the amazing action scenes. I personally think the Falcon Chase might be the best action scene of the past 10 years. It's such a remarkable piece of filmmaking. You can tell Spielberg is like a kid in a candy store with how he moves the camera at every turn and takes full advantage of the technology crafted by the wizards at Weta Digital. The humor is also on point, whether it's Haddock trying his best to overcome his drinking problems or the antics of the detectives Thompson and Thompson. Overall, The Adventures of Tintin delivers a high-flying, non-stop adventure, and while the visual effects are unquestionably a product of the 21st century, there's an old-school, classic, serial charm to the film. Now, where's that sequel? Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Taking the concept of visiting aliens but making them curious beings rather than malevolent, Spielberg was heavily inspired by how we look at the stars in crafting this intelligent sci-fi tale. Very much focused on the science and with a general interest in creating a connection with something new, there's a refreshing optimism to this film that I admire. Each of the central characters is awed by the aliens in their own unique way, whether it's the scientist or the lead protagonist, Roy Neary, or the young boy opening his door for those visitors from another planet. John Williams' score is a major component of the film, too, and shows the power of music as a universal communicative tool. This is a captivating film that brought new ideas to the realm of science fiction filmmaking. Catch Me If You Can. This is one of the breeziest and snappiest biopics I've ever seen, showing the incredible lengths Frank Abagnale Jr. took in forging his fake checks. Spielberg captured the 60s vibe perfectly, with Williams' music even having a Henry Mancini feel to it. The cat-and-mouse chase between Frank and FBI agent Kyle Hanratty is done marvelously, with the two forming a surprising bond even as one evades the other. Catch Me If You Can is very funny when it shows the various tricks Frank uses as he hops from fake job to fake job. Yet there's also a sadness underneath the surface as he struggles to find a place he can actually call home. Spielberg, being a child of divorce, also allows him to create the necessary sympathy for Frank as he grapples with his parents separating. And Frank really is not a bad person, even though he is committing a major crime. Credit should also go to Leonardo DiCaprio, who brings the proper level of charm to the role, which makes his deceptions even more believable. Catch Me If You Can is definitely one of the best-paced and most rewatchable Spielberg films, too. Jaws. What started off as a mediocre book about a great white shark terrorizing a small town was turned into a thrilling adventure and a movie so fantastic, every killer fish movie has been trying to reach its heights ever since. The key to the film's success ultimately lies not so much on the shark, but rather the people and the internal politics of Amity Island. Spielberg makes it captivating even though it takes a long while before we even see the aquatic animal that's gobbling up tourists. The dilemma faced by Chief Brody is portrayed brilliantly, as he finds the mayor just as much a nuisance as the shark. The screenplay is filled with so many quotable lines, and even bit roles leave a memorable impact. Jaws is also an example of how production troubles ultimately helped the film, as I'm not sure the movie would have had quite the same impact were we to constantly see the shark. Those POV shots under the water are just fantastically devised, and of course, there are those famous two notes, building and building. Jaws is considered the first summer blockbuster, and for good reason. Schindler's List. While Spielberg had directed a few historical dramas before Schindler's List, he found himself undertaking a major responsibility with this film. Thankfully, he managed to make a film that showed the horrors of the Holocaust and the atrocities committed by the Nazis. For the first time, Spielberg put his faith on the screen with multiple scenes that call attention to Jewish imagery and the Nazis' attempts to wipe out an entire group of people, all because of their history and beliefs. At the center of Schindler's List is a man who risked everything to save 1,200 people from extinction. The change he undergoes is remarkable, and Liam Neeson delivers an emotional and layered performance as Oskar Schindler. The decision to film it in black and white was a respectful one, as this does not sugarcoat what happened in Europe during that time. Schindler's List is not an easy film to watch, but it is an important one that everyone should see. It's a film that often leaves me thinking how humanity could even reach this point, but it also ends on a note that shows that the Nazis did fail at that ultimate goal of destroying an entire religion. Some have called its conclusion sappy. I call it necessary to show goodness can outlive evil. That Spielberg was inspired by Schindler's List to found the Shoah Foundation with its goal of archiving every Holocaust survivor and telling their story makes this film even more important. E.T. the Extraterrestrial. The quintessential family film of the 1980s, Spielberg directed an alien film told entirely from a child's point of view, and the result is a lovely ode to childhood. The conversations between Elliot and his siblings Michael and Gertie feel genuine, and the bond formed of E.T. is incredibly touching. There's also a personal element to the story, as Spielberg also seeks to show a family affected by divorce, and there's a lot of sympathy shown towards the single mother trying to take care of 3 children. Spielberg creates one magical moment after another, whether it's E.T. and Elliot both getting drunk, E.T. healing his cut finger, and of course the brilliant scene of Elliot flying on his bicycle. E.T. the Extraterrestrial also contains one of my favorite climaxes of any movie, so perfectly matched with John Williams' music and reaching a deservingly heartwarming conclusion. This is one of those films that should be part of any child's movie-watching diet, and a perfect example of cinema being used to lift our spirits. And my favorite Steven Spielberg movie is Raiders of the Lost Ark. This is one of those movies I can watch no matter what my mood is, and yet I always finish it feeling like I've just gone on an incredible journey. Indiana Jones is one of the greatest screen heroes, with Spielberg giving us one incredibly imaginative and brilliantly edited action scene after another. The stunt work is remarkable, and while I love the boulder scene, it's the truck chase that I consider the best edited action scene in cinematic history. Not a single scene feels wasted. Every sequence is filled with so many clever lines and little character building moments, and even the moments where characters have to give exposition are handled in an entertaining way. The chemistry between Harrison Ford and Karen Allen is always a treat, as Marion more than holds her own against Indy. And then there's John Williams' magnificent score, with its rousing main theme, the touching romantic melody of Marion's leitmotif, and the awe of the Ark of the Covenant. I can watch Raiders of the Lost Ark again and again and never get tired of it. Now, I know what you're thinking. Where's Saving Private Ryan, Ready Player One, Jurassic Park? And believe me, I wish I could include those too. But it really shows what an amazing filmography Steven Spielberg has put together over the years. I would like to know what your favorite films of his are, and I'll see you next time.